What is popping? Party people. We all know some of the best trophy lists out there. Some people might think Spider-Man, Ratchet and Clank. Personally, I think Resident Evil or Uncharted, because they sprinkle a little bit of difficulty in there. But today, we're not going to be looking at those classics that everyone knows about. No. We're going to be looking at some underrated platinums that you guys probably haven't earned. To make sure I was picking the right games for this video, I scoured the internet. I asked on the PSN Profiles forums for some suggestions. And from this, I compiled a little list. The 7th and final one, by the way, an absolute banger. Obviously, my picks, my underrated platinums, are going to be favoured towards what I like. So let me talk through the things I look for when I'm looking at a good all-round trophy list. I like a little bit of a challenge. I don't want online trophies or the absolute bare minimum. I don't want a crazy amount of collectibles. I'm looking at you, Hogwarts Legacy. I don't want loads and loads of missable trophies that you have to read really specific requirements to get. And finally, I don't want it being super long, like an Assassin's Creed Valhalla, for instance. So what did I do with these preferences? I made myself a little algorithm. I put every single game that I found mentioned online into this algorithm. And then from that, I whittled the shortlist down and eventually I picked my top 7. So here is my picks for the 7 underrated platinum trophy lists. And just to make sure I'm not waffling and talking nonsense, in an upcoming video, I'm going to earn each and every single one of the platinums in these 7 games in one video. It's going to be a long one because according to PSN Profiles, to do it all, it would take just under 150 hours. It's no joke. So let's jump right in. Jump right in with my first pick. And this one goes to Pacific Drive. This is a first-person survival driving game. Not something you hear very often. You do runs in your car into an excursion zone. You get loot and then you go back to the safe zone and you upgrade your car. And you just keep doing that. I think this did get a lot of love from people when it came out. A bit different and people really enjoyed it. So let's look at some of the stats so you understand why I think this has got a good trophy list. The Platinum only has a 7% earn rate, which is nice because it's not quite an ultra rare, but it's not got something stupid like over 80% where everyone who plays this game gets the Platinum. It takes about 35 hours to get the Platinum, which is the longest on this list actually, but it still falls in my sweet spot, which I think is about 15 to 40 hours. Only one playthrough required, thank God for that. It does have 2 missable trophies. Now you might be thinking, how the hell did this get through your immaculate algorithm then? Well, these aren't complicated to do. You don't have to follow a guide meticulously, really closely. So yeah, they're no real problem at all. No online trophies, no real collectibles either. So tick right there. And then finally a 3 out of 10. Quite low. And I might prefer slightly higher, but it's fine and it's good for the average player. Let's go to game number 2, and that is Ender Lilies. This is a Metroidvania style game, and it was actually free on PS Plus, I believe. So if you did claim it and haven't played it yet, this might be your sign. It's a side scroller, hence the Metroidvania, where you basically fight bosses and upgrade abilities. And it's also set in like a gothic environment. Bloodborne anyone? And apparently the combat's super clean and satisfying. So it sounds great, but why has it got an underrated platinum? It's got a 32% platinum rate, which is high, but I always think like Soulsy Metroidvania games do have slightly higher because it's more for hardcore players. And it's not crazy. It's not above 50%. It takes 25 hours to get the platinum. That is literally bang on my sweet spot. Only requires one playthrough. No missable trophies. Absolutely love that. Doesn't have any online, so another tick. The one thing dragging this down a little bit is the collectibles. It does have quite a few, but that's sort of expected for a game like this. And they're not missable. And then finally, what tipped this in, what just about made this game go into the top 7, was its difficulty rating of a 7 out of 10. Perfect. A 6 or a 7, maybe an 8 every now and then is where I like to be. Because other games with a 7 are things like Elden Ring. So a nice challenge, but do feel achievable. So the next game is The Order 1886.
Hello there.
This was a PS4 game that got hyped up beyond belief, I think because of the trailers and the graphics, which were amazing, but the story was super short. Ever since then, I think the game's gained a little bit of popularity and appreciated a little bit more, a bit like a Days Gone situation. It's a third-person cover-based shooter, which is set in London, and you kill werewolves and sort of rebels and things like that, I believe. It's been on my backlog to play forever, and after finding out that it's got a nice balanced trophy list, it's bumped right up, right to the tippity top of the backlog. 34% of people who've played this game have got the platinum, so right there with Ender Lilies. It only takes 10 hours apparently to achieve, so on the shorter side, like I said, and if you want that platinum fix and play a good game and not a 5-minute grubby game, this is the one for you. Only requires one playthrough, no missable trophies, and no online. That is the holy trifecta. Apparently does have some collectibles, but again, nothing crazy. You're not looking for 500 plus, just a few. And then finally, it is a 3 out of 10. So it's a little bit low, but there's no difficulty related trophies, which I would have liked. But if you fancy a bit more of a challenge, there's no reason not to bump up the difficulty to hard and give yourself that challenge while going for the platinum. So those are the first 3 games. And going into number 4, this is the only game so far that I've never come across or heard of, and that is called the Banner Saga. The reason I've probably never heard of it is because it's not really my genre. It's a turn-based RPG. These are games I don't typically play. I did love South Park: The Stick of Truth. What I do like the sound of, you have to manage also the morale, supplies, and well-being of the people that you're traveling with. And also has permadeath, which sounds pretty juicy. Now let's talk about the trophy list and why it got in this video. Firstly, and most importantly, it's got a 4% rarity rate. That puts it in the illustrious category of ultra rare that everyone loves. Now, you'd be expecting it to take ages if only 4% of people have bothered to do this, but no. Apparently, it only takes 15 hours to achieve the platinum. One thing dragging it down a tiny bit is the fact you have to do 2 playthroughs, which I don't normally love, but it's such a short game, it's not really an issue. Another minor negative is it does feature missable trophies. But that's when we see the back of the negatives, because there's no online. The collectibles actually give you stuff and allow you to level up your character and things like that, so it's not pointless. And then finally, it sits right in the middle at a 5 out of 10 for difficulty and does feature difficulty trophies, which I mentioned I love. And the 5th game did get loads of mentions. I think initially underrated, but everyone who talks about it loved it. And that game is Dredge. I'm not really sure how to explain this game to make it sound enjoyable. You go out fishing, catch fish, but then it switches to night and survival mode kicks in. Supernatural beings and things like that come out, and apparently it can be a little bit creepy. I've really not done it any justice, so if you want to find out more about the game, just go and watch somebody else, not me. Because I'm only here to talk about why it's in my 7 underrated platinum list. 31% of people have got the platinum, and it takes 20 hours to get. That's a nice start. What makes it even better? 1 playthrough, no missables, and no online. It does have some collectibles, but again, nothing crazy at all, and then a 3 out of 10, so a nice chilled experience. Give it a go. Number 6 is quite a popular game, and it was again recently on PS Plus, and that is RoboCop. Now, I don't think I need to explain what this game is. The title gives it away. You're a robot police officer taking out the bad guys. The completion rate's a bit high for my liking at 41%. Basically, if anything was above 50, it was immediately taken off the list, a game like Cat Quest. Takes 12 hours to do, so on the lighter side, which is nice, but then it's got 4 ticks. 1 playthrough. No missables. No online. And very few collectibles. And then just like the Order 1886, it is a 3 out of 10. It doesn't require you to complete the game on a specific difficulty, but that ain't stopping you, baby. If you fancy the challenge, go for it. Put it on the hardest difficulty and then get the platinum as well. Nobody will know you did that, but you will. And that's what's most important. And then we end the 7th game on the list, the one I'm most excited to play when I achieve the platinum on every single one of these 7 games in a single video. And that game is 9 Souls. This bad boy released just over a year ago, and it was nominated for an Indie Game of the Year. I don't think it won, but nomination's good enough for me. And it's sort of in my favourite ever genre of games, Souls-likes, and also sort of a Metroidvania style of that. Has a heavy focus on parrying, and you lose progress and you also lose currency upon dying, hence the Souls-like. The combat is apparently super challenging, and so are the bosses. So I'm pumped. I want to give this bad boy a go right now. But I'm going to do these in the order I put them on this list. So I'm going to have to wait till last to get the platinum on this one out of the 7. Let's quickly rattle through why it made it through my algorithm and in the top 7. It's got a 28% completion rate, but like I said for Ender Lilies, when people play these sort of games, they are more hardcore and do go for platinums more, which bumps up that percentage. Takes 30 hours to complete, love that, and it only has 1 playthrough required. Then the only really 2 negatives I have, it does have some collectibles, but you know, most games do, and it does have a few missable trophies, so I'm going to have to be careful with them, but no online, and it also hits that 7 out of 10, which I think is my favourite difficulty rating for a game when you're going for a platinum. So those are my 7. Give them a go if you've never heard of them or never played them. This is based off my preferences, so you might absolutely hate the things that I like. So if that's the case, don't bloody play them. And I also want to give a shout out to some honourable mentions, as I like to do. Vampire Survivors very nearly wormed its way in, but then I saw the DLC trophies and it put me off. The Pathless was mentioned quite a bit, but it has missable trophies, which took it out slightly. And then the Rogue Prince of Persia also got a few mentions, but it says 40 playthroughs, and that might just be the style of game that it is, but that alone put me off. Dave the Diver was in 8th place, just missed out because I think it has quite a lot of collectibles and also missable trophies. And then Cat Quest, which I really wanted to make it in because I want to play this, but that's got a 69% completion rate. It's just too high. Anything above 50, forget about it. So let me know what your underrated platinums are, and I'll see you in a video where I achieve the platinum for all of these games, and I'll know if I'm talking absolute nonsense and they actually haven't got good trophy lists at all. Let's hope that isn't the case.